Today we're talking about one of the top 3 key performance indicators that we look at when we work with any business. What is that?
Lifetime value.
Lifetime value. LTV!
Hello there.
That was dramatic.
Most dramatic. Okay, so here we go. So the first thing that I would want to tell somebody when it comes to lifetime value is what it actually is.
Yes, what is lifetime value?
So simply stated, it is the long-term value of a customer. I think people make it fancy. How much they spend with you over the course of time they do business with you.
Yeah.
But philosophically, I have a different definition of it.
Ooh.
Loyalty.
Ooh,
Loyalty. Yeah,
That's
how many
good.
times, the idea of people coming back and buying again and again, that's loyalty, and that helps maximize your lifetime value.
So it has to do with your brand, you might say.
It could very well have to do a lot with your brand, yeah. And everything that goes along with that, the quality of the product, the customer service, personality of your brand, people being attached and fond of your brand.
Plus the nature of it. Do you sell something that's consumable, right? Am I going to run out of it and I need it again?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about some principles here, but I think what you're talking about, if you have a subscription model where people, pay a certain monthly fee and it shows up in their mailbox, you're looking at loyalty or lifetime value, maybe a little bit different than someone who sells one-off products, maybe shirts where they introduce new styles every few months.
Yeah.
But it's important for every e-commerce business to look at.
Okay.
There's no doubt about it.
Let's get into it.
Yep, let's do it. Let's do this. Let's talk about my 5 reasons why it's important. So I've got a few examples pulled up here, but where you're looking at you can kind of see your average order value and then the lifetime value as it spans across whether it's 60 day, 90 day, 180 day. The longer someone is a customer, that number is going to go up. And so that's one of the things you want to look at unless you've got fall off, but that's why this is so important. So why it's important, the 5 reasons. Number 1, business health. The health of your e-commerce store. This lifetime value is a massive indicator of that. And it's not necessarily like having a high lifetime value. That would be a great measure of how well your store is doing in terms of being healthy. But if you have a low lifetime value when it's compared to like your average order value, you've got a problem. Like people are not buying repeatedly. And so that's what I would look at. The other thing in terms of health is looking at it in related to your COGS or your cost of goods sold. So if you have a high lifetime value, but you're not profitable, meaning your costs are very high, in terms of the health of your store, that's a problem.
Yeah.
You really want to take a hard look at that. But the inverse of that, if you're profitable and you have that high lifetime value, you're in a sweet spot. You're in a really good place. So the first reason is just getting an idea of the overall health of your store.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, and number 2, forecast the future. Knowing your lifetime value, this lets you make much more accurate financial forecasts. And I love that, especially when we look at it in relation to our customer acquisition cost, which we'll talk a little bit more about. You can answer 2 really big questions. Number 1, is this sustainable? Do I actually have a store that's sustainable? Because if you're spending a certain amount to acquire a customer, but you're kind of breaking even.
Right, on the initial acquisition.
Or lifetime value. Like if you know what I'm saying, like some people, we do have those situations where you might be breaking even or maybe even losing money on the first transaction.
But they're going to keep
coming. Like subscription models are a lot like that.
Right.
Where
and you're okay with it.
You're okay with it. Yeah. So this helps you look at is, okay, is this actually sustainable? Do we have enough high enough lifetime value that we can do this? And the second question you can answer is, can we scale?
Yeah.
Is this scalable? So love those two factors, 2 questions you can answer in terms of forecasting. Okay, now we're getting into a little more kind of like nitty gritty. I like this stuff. Customer segmentation when it comes to lifetime value. So 3 concepts here, and these are talked about in B2B, B2C. It's pretty common, but recency, frequency, and value. So let's break them down real quick. Recency, this is a customer that has purchased from you recently is more likely to make a repeat purchase. This and frequency, I had to change my thinking a little bit. So the idea that someone who has purchased from me recently, in my mind, I would think, well, they're less likely to buy than someone who hasn't bought in a while because they just bought my product, but this other person hasn't bought in a while. They could use some of it.
Yeah, but that's why we do like one-click upsells because it's like, That's
Exactly.
super recent. Like, you just bought this a few seconds ago. Hey,
Yeah.
you want some more? Or you want this thing that goes with it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of change my
Yeah.
thinking, especially e-commerce, especially when it comes to
Yeah.
e-commerce. So I had to kind of change that. The next one is frequency. A customer that purchases is more frequently is more likely to make a future purchase.
Yep.
Same thing. I thought, well, they've bought from me several times.
You need to have more confidence in
I'm-
yourself and your product.
Exactly. Well, I was applying wrong logic to it. So frequency is a big factor there, and then value. Some people call it monetary value. A customer who has spent more is more likely to return than a customer who spends less.
Yeah.
It's a big indicator.
Yeah.
And so Matt, I have a question for you.
Okay.
So as someone who kind of guides the messaging for our clients, you kind of help us zero in on that, whether it's email or ads. This kind of information to be able to segment by recency, how long ago someone purchased, or frequency, how many times, like if they've bought several times from us. How would, as someone who is in charge of that messaging, how would this factor in, and how would you handle this kind of information in terms of how you would write copy or using those segments?
Oh, it's so important. In the same way that, like, all communication, whether it's sales or otherwise, is based on just human-to-human interaction. So if you think of it just like any other friendship or relationship you have, you're going to talk to somebody different. If I haven't talked to you in 10 years, I'm going to talk to you way differently than if we just talked 5 minutes ago and I have one more thing I needed to tell you.
Yes.
You know, that tone is completely different.
I love that.
Or if we talk every day, like this is a normal thing, you pick up the phone, it's going to be like, hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? But if it's like,
We haven't talked in 10 years.
if it's like, Casey O'Quinn, why is that name familiar? Hey, you may not remember me. It's Matt Brannon. We met 10 years ago with this thing, and you crossed my mind because this thing happened, and I really needed to connect with you because like it's just important. Like, that's so helpful to know what is your relationship with this customer.
Yes.
And that affects how I'm going to talk to you.
I love that. So to me, using the elements of lifetime value, recency, frequency, and value to be able to segment and talk to your folks in a little bit different way. Love that. Next one is customer acquisition. So if you know what your lifetime value is, now you can dive in and answer the big question: how much can I spend to acquire a customer? And we alluded to this a moment ago. You may be in a subscription-based model where you're willing to spend a little bit more because you have this back end of lifetime value where your churn rate, they're with you for 6 months, 6.5 months.
Yeah.
Like, so you've got a number there.
Your forecast.
You do. You know your forecast. Yeah. Whereas if you were to look at only the average order value, that could be very short-sighted. Because you may, maybe it's a $99 subscription model.
Yeah.
Well, the average order value is $99. So you wouldn't be willing to spend.
Oh man, I only want to spend like maybe $30. I don't know.
Yeah. And I'm pushing it there.
Yeah.
Whereas if they're with me for 6 months, I actually make $600. You'd be willing to spend a little bit more.
Yeah.
And like when you have competitors, like this makes a really big difference. So yeah, and just think in terms of if you're running ads, Google Ads, Meta, TikTok, if you knew how much you could spend to acquire a customer, how empowering would that feel? To be able to watch those numbers and know that you're hitting your mark.
Yeah.
I mean, from a confidence and like profitability standpoint, that's huge.
Yeah.
And the last one, final one here, lifetime value is not static. I think this is important. Like, just because you calculate it one time or you look at something now, you shouldn't look at it 6 months from now.
Yeah.
And that's false. Lifetime value changes, so you got to review it regularly. And then this is where, when I think about marketing, I think about the entire customer journey. There are so many areas where you can pull on levers that affect lifetime value.
Yes.
Everything from your average order value, like what can you do to increase that average order value? Do you have some upsells and cross-sells and those kinds of things? To what are you doing maybe from an email promotional standpoint to get people to buy again and again? Do you have a loyalty program? Like, so many levers you can pull on to increase that lifetime value. So yeah. And speaking of that, so we love the customer value journey from Digital Marketer.
Yes.
It's kind of foundational for us and the way we go about marketing. When you think about lifetime value not being static and working to increase it with the CVJ kind of in mind, what do you think about? What thoughts come to mind in terms of marketing?
Well, there's things that are inside your control, and there's things that are not in your control. Like, things that aren't in your control that are going to affect the lifetime value is like economy. Like, there's like major inflation, like recession worry and all that stuff right now. So that's going to affect lifetime value for some people.
Yeah.
The other things are like Are you in a space where suddenly you have a new competitor and they're, kind of poaching some of your business? Like those things affect it too. It's like there's all these things that aren't not inside your control, but what is inside your control are the things like you were alluding to earlier. It's like if I have a customer that I know has kind of come in at my core offer, kind of that my bread and butter, that thing, it's like, do I have those opportunities to remind them of upsells and cross sells and new products and things like that? Am I doing everything that I can to make sure that my existing customers are promoting me with reviews and testimonials and things like that? And like you alluded to, loyalty programs, affiliate programs, utilizing all of these tools, all these levers that I can pull to make sure the machine is turning and that people are coming back and referring new customers and things like that.
So important. So important. Yeah. Okay. So last thing here I have is a bonus. So this was less tactical. This was more about understanding lifetime value and the importance of it, but we're going to jump into a future video. In a future video, we're going to jump in and talk about ways you can increase your lifetime value, and we've kind of alluded to a few of those things. But I don't want to leave anybody hanging, so I do have a few quick tips that you can look at. So first is average order value. It's one of the best things that you can do to help increase lifetime value is to get each average order value up. And we have a video that we did all about average order value. We'll link to it. I would encourage you to go watch that. It's very tactical, some things you can do to get that average order value up. And the other thing is email. If you are not emailing your list regularly, you are absolutely, I wish I had a pile of money that I could leave on the table and walk away. That's what you're doing. You are leaving money on the table. Two expressions that I love. It's been around forever, but the money is in the list. There is more money in your email list. I hope you're emailing those people regularly. And then I love this one. I heard this one so long ago, and I don't even know where it came from. But
I was about to say this earlier.
The cheapest customer you'll ever acquire is the one you already have. Back to email or retargeting or those kinds of things. What are you doing to sell repeatedly to the people you already have? One of our favorites is email. So those are my tips for you. Couple of 5 tips, couple of bonuses for you. Yeah.
And just kind of one of the benchmarks that we use there with email is we usually say at least 20% of your revenue should be coming from
that's
list.
the low end of the threshold that we aim for. Is 20% coming of your store's revenue coming from email. We love Shopify and Klaviyo. That combo, you can get that number in Klaviyo in an instant.
Yeah, so if you're not using email at all, just think about would you like to have another 20% of what you're already making at least? I mean, email's a no-brainer.
We have seen email pay for itself inside of 30 days. I mean, beyond pay for itself.
Yeah, so we have a process that we use. It's like our 7-figure process where we take e-commerce stores that aren't reaching their potential up to 7 figures and beyond. Email is a major part of that process, especially in the early stages. So we have a demo. If you want to check out that process, it's available. Link in the description. And any final words?
No, the idea of lifetime value is incredibly important to an e-com store. Again, this was more high level, just understanding the importance of it. But you should absolutely be focused on lifetime value. Keep it in mind, and you want to do everything you can to maximize what one customer is worth to your e-com business.
You have a very high lifetime value in my book, Casey.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
And so do each of you at home.